Marvel's The Fantastic Four has hit cinemas this weekend. So why not do a ranking of all 5 live action Fantastic Four films? 5. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. So some of them less than fantastic, but there we go. So the Fantastic Four. We've had multiple Fantastic Four films over the years. Having seen all of them, how do I rank them exactly? That's what we're going to look at today. Now, I have seen the new Fantastic Four film. I reviewed it just the other day. Go and check that review out if you so wish. And also, the day before that, I've done a video where I take a look at my whole Fantastic Four physical media collection. I've got more than what I thought, and a couple of collectibles thrown therein as well. Well worth taking a look at. But let's get on with this ranking. Five films, starting from worst to best. But is there a best? I don't know. It's the Fantastic Four. So, in that 5th spot. Now, this was difficult, right? Because I really don't know which way to go with this last spot, because a couple of these Fantastic Four films are pretty damn atrocious. But anyway, I decided and I went with Fan4stick from 2015. That Fantastic Four film that came at us, directed by Josh Trank. The one that had a lot of eyes on it when it came out for certain reasons to do with its casting. Won't go any further than that. But yeah, this film here, it's a mess. It's a mess. The thing is, you got a decent cast. You got a decent cast therein. You got Miles Teller. Miles Teller's a fantastic actor. You know, you got Jamie Bell. He's very good as well. And you've got Michael B. Jordan. You know, Creed. He's good as well, although completely miscast as Johnny Storm. Please, can't even remember who the name of the girl who plays Sue Storm is in this one. But this film is, I watched this film when it came out. I did, you know. I then bought it on physical media. I tried to watch it again. This was 2015, and I haven't gone back to it since. That's how bad this film is. You know, I'm sure there was a good idea in there somewhere, but the execution, it's just an abysmal, unwatchable mess of a movie. Now for the 4th spot, and that is for The Fantastic Four from 1994, directed by Ole Sassor. Who the hell is that? I don't know, but there we go. He directed this one. This is a Roger Corman film. This film should never have been seen, and it has never been released. You can't buy it. You can only get it on bootleg. It's made the rounds on bootlegs for decades. It's been available through back in the days of VHS, you know, in conventions and this sort of a thing. This film was made on the budget of $1 million. That's all that went to it, right? Roger Corman has made films of up to $2 million, double the budget. But no, $1 million on this one. The film had marketing and everything. It had trailers, it had magazine articles, it had posters. Never came out. Never came out. Bit of a backstory to this film, interesting one at that. This film was only made to keep the rights to the Fantastic Four, so they didn't have to relinquish those rights back to Marvel. There was never any plan to release this movie. The director was lied to, the actors were lied to. Seriously, this, you know, but for all its faults, I can watch this more than what I can watch Fan4stick. You know, at least it tries to get the characters right. There's a certain charm in what it does. A kind of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle-esque charm to Ben Grimm, the Thing, in his big latex suit. Minus the eyes. You know, some of the effects are atrocious. When Johnny Storm, you know, flames on, it's bloody, it's cartoon. It turns to cartoon, you know. Reed Richards and his stretching. Seriously, I can do it. I can do it. Look, some of it is just perspective. Look at my arm stretching out. Yeah, to grab something in. Do you know what I mean? And fake arms, rubbery fake arms. It's a bad film. Doctor Doom looks fake, obviously. But he looks pretty good. He looks pretty comic accurate in what they do to him. there's the Mole Man, but there isn't. They couldn't use it, or didn't want to use the Mole Man. Marvel didn't want them to use it, so they used a character called the Jeweler, but it's essentially the Mole Man. Yeah, it's a bit of a mess. It's an origin story as well, as was 2015's. How many times do we have to see the origin of the Fantastic Four? But that's my 4th spot. I highly recommend you don't watch it. Okay. Then in 3rd place, from Tim Story, 2005, Fantastic Four. That's right. Ioan Gruffudd, Jessica Alba, Michael Chiklis, and Captain America. Before he became Captain America, Chris Evans. Now, I've watched this film recently again, and I find it a very difficult watch. I feel that I have outgrown this movie. However, the film tries. It tries to at least get the characters right, get the world of the Fantastic Four right. It's very family friendly. This is very much, it does feel very much like a kid's film. Well, it's a Fantastic Four. Why shouldn't it be a kid's film? It should be. Come on, honestly. Anyway, yes, I put it there, you know. The one thing it's got is a good cast. You know, I can't fault the cast. I liked all of them, even Jessica Alba being a bit miscast. I still liked her in it. You know, she was eye candy. They didn't give her a great deal to do. But, you know, you've got Chris Evans, you know, hamming it up as this cocky, womanising, you know, Johnny Storm. You got Michael Chiklis, you know, at least they tell the story in this one of his, you know, of the inner turmoil that he has being the Thing, and this sort of a thing. You know, I like Ioan Gruffudd, you know, he's decent. You got a decent cast. This is the time when Marvel tried, you know, or superhero films tried with their castings. They didn't go after big, massive, huge actors. They took actors that pretty much fit the role. Jessica Alba aside. There we go. 2nd spot, Silver Surfer, Rise of the Silver Surfer, the 2nd one by Tim Story. So by the time you got to this film, the 2nd of the Fantastic Four movies in that, you know, the Fox universe of them, before the attempted remake in Fantastic, we had Rise of the Silver Surfer. It's only a short film, you know, it's about an hour and a half, ain't much longer than an hour and a half. It's an inoffensive runtime completely. And, you know, it does tell the story of Galactus coming and all this. Okay, Galactus is a big cloud because they thought that doing Galactus as a big individual would look a bit stupid. They've been proved wrong, haven't they? But the main cast, they've kind of settled down into their roles in this one. They feel a lot more comfortable in what they're doing and the characters that they are portraying. And to be honest, it's not a boring film. You know, Silver Surfer looks fantastic. He looks great. You know, there's a lot of decent action. Dr. Doom's back. You know, it may be a bit too busy for what it wants to do in its runtime, but it's quite a fun film. You know, it's an enjoyable watch. Not a great film, but an enjoyable watch. So clearly that 1st spot belongs to the new Fantastic Four movie from Marvel, from the MCU. This MCU Fantastic Four movie that isn't really an MCU movie. What do I mean by that? Well, this film is set outside of the MCU at this current time. It's set on an alternate Earth. Okay, so it's not bogged down by the weight of the MCU and everything that has come before. It's a film that you can go and sit in and you haven't seen any other MCU project that has come before. You don't need to know anything. You don't need to have done your homework. It's pretty much a standalone film, and it sets up quite a good world. It does some great world building stuff with Subterranea and all this sort of a thing, you know. But the unfortunate part of it is that all of that's going to be undone possibly when we come to Doomsday, you know, unless Marvel do something akin to at the end of Secret Wars, worlds combine and all this sort of a thing, and you get part of that Fantastic Four world look in the MCU and this sort of thing, or they go back home to their own world at the end of it all and they carry on their adventures there separate to the MCU, then yeah, we're going to look at all this stuff just gone. Now, as for the cast in this one, it's not great. You know, I'm far happier with the casting in the 2 Tim Story ones than what I am in this one. The cast are pretty flat in what they do, but it's a decent film overall with flaws, with some major flaws. Now, a lot of it may upset comic book purists. For me, Fantastic Four is a comic that I've jumped into, jumped out of. I've read far less Fantastic Four comics than what there is Fantastic Four comics. Far less. If that's how many Fantastic Four comics there were, I've read maybe one, if that makes sense. Maybe less than that. You know, I'm not a big fan of the comic book of Fantastic Four, but that's where I would sit the new one. Visually, it's very pleasing. It feels a bit fresher. It looks different. And it gives you a proper look at Galactus and all this sort of thing. So, there we go. Last spot, Fan 4 stick. Fantastic Four from 1994. Fantastic Four from 2005, Fantastic Four Rise of Silver Surfer, 2008, I believe that was, and then 2025, the new Fantastic Four film by Matt Shakman. Let me know how you would rank these movies, if indeed you have seen them all. If you haven't seen them all, let me know how you'd rank the ones that you have seen. What's your favourite one? Let me know in the comments down below. See you on the next one. Take care.